Hi.
What's up, everybody? It's Erin.
And Nicole, this is Dude That's Fucked Up.
How y'all doing?
Hey, y'all.
Hey, y'all.
Oh, my God.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
It's relevant to today.
Mm-hmm. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Yeah. Truly, oh, boy.
Oh, my God.
Truly, oh, boy, and only boys. You know what I mean? Mostly.
Yeah.
I mean, starting all this shit. You know what I mean?
Of course. It's always
So they want to be starting something. They are. It's true.
Oh, my God. So what's going on, everybody? I hope everybody's good. Hope you're well. I don't know. This show today, we are going to probably be extremely judgmental and irreverent and mean.
Yeah.
Very mean. So
oh yeah,
get ready for that.
I want to apologize for pulling 0 punches, and I also want to dedicate this episode to the dishonor of Pat Robertson. Thank you very much.
Yeah, he died.
He died today. And
it'll be a last week as comes out.
Yeah. But instead of RIP, I say BIH, which is burn in hell.
Burn in hell, Pat Robertson. That's where you are, you piece of shit.
Yeah. So we're on the heels of that, and that's really fun.
What a hashtag blessing that happened, because we had already picked the episode that we're doing. So it was a real dovetail, just real coincidence that this happened.
Yeah.
That Pat Robertson, one of the major evangelicals out here, just really fucking up things for, people just trying to live their lives and
for decades. Yeah.
He famously took over the 700 Club after Tammy Faye Baker and whatever her husband's name was. Jim Baker got in trouble. But he basically like forced them out pretty much after Tammy Faye Baker like attempted to like humanize gay people.
Right.
He's like, no.
We're not having that. During the AIDS epidemic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's like, we're not having that.
So he hated gay people. He like literally was the worst. So, and you writing this in the notes that he died is how I found out he died, and I love that. So good riddance to that fucking piece of shit, and I absolutely love that he died in the middle of Pride Month. It's pretty great.
Some might say it's kismet. I think it's a gift from the heavens. Mm-hmm. It's all context. It just depends on how you look at things,
Yeah, that guy was evil, and he thought he was going to heaven, but boy, oh boy, is he in hell.
Yeah. Or just dead in a box.
Or just dead. Yeah. Anyway.
Before we get into our topic, which we're already kind of in, we do want to solicit any, just a reminder that we want to do another AI story episode. So please send your stories. We have some too. So we'll record one regardless, but we want to keep them coming,
Yeah.
We want to keep it like a regular thing because it's too fun.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're definitely, that's like one of our next episodes that we're going to do. So
yeah,
keep them coming.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun. Okay. So getting back to the slander.
Let me get comfortable.
Yeah, we have a really interesting topic for this week. We're talking about Bob Jones University, aka BJ University.
Also,
I could have taught a class.
Oh, okay. I love that. Okay, first of all, Bob Jones University. It should have been Robert Jones University, first of all, right? Like, you don't go with your nickname to name a university after yourself.
I don't know what these people are doing. There's so much ass backwards stuff about this quote unquote university that I can't with. Yeah, so we're going to talk about Bob Jones University. It's a fundamental Christian liberal arts college.
Yeah, liberal. They probably are working to get that removed from the description.
Yeah,
somehow.
they're
that
like
accreditation or whatever.
Yeah, they're like, how do we call it a liberal arts without including the name liberal or art in it? They're just like, it's just so you'll hear all about how it's just
also
a joke.
Like right off the top. This is not to slander any students who attend that university because these are brainwashed children and they don't know any better, you know. But as we've said before, once you do become an adult and you are aware of what everything's about, then it is your responsibility. So there are lots of like people who have gone to this university and are critical of it and have, you know, it's like people who leave evangelical churches all the time and like they start their crusade, which is like to shit all over these churches and religions because they're like they were abusive, they were
oh my god, yeah,
you know,
just very backwards.
Yeah.
If you go on, you could just look up like literally horror stories about Bob Jones University.
Yeah.
And people have lots and lots of stories to relate to about this institution being just really, really oppressive and
bad. And just like embarrassing.
Yeah.
And also the way we found this is I saw a TikTok and it was a funny, lighthearted story about someone who almost went there.
Ooh.
And luckily did not.
Yeah.
So dodged a bullet.
I think a lot of time people who live in the area that the school is in, it's in South Carolina, don't necessarily know like how deeply religious it is and like what the fundamental like, you know, founding principles of this school are. They just think it's like another college and they're in the South, whatever.
Like a religious college in the South. Yeah.
When in actuality, it's just like, it's terrible. Let's like get into the history of it and like, so you can understand like the roots from whence it came. So Bob Jones University was founded by a dude named, you guessed it, Bob Jones. Like you said, why not Robert Jones?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Get it.
He was born in Alabama in 1883. He was the son of a Confederate soldier, obviously. And
yeah,
come on.
It's like, how did we get here? It's like, well, let's start at the very beginning, and this is exactly where it starts.
Yeah. He became an evangelical preacher after demonstrating a knack for public speaking at a very young age. So by the time this man was 12 years old, he was made the Sunday school superintendent.
No,
I don't know any 12-year-old that has any business being a superintendent of anything. It's almost like he got like named mayor for the day or whatever,
like the
but
dog
it was like
mayor of Idlewild. They're like, it's kitschy, and then they're like, well, like I guess we'll just leave it.
Yeah, it's fine. All right. So getting that practical experience in at a young age, you know, just child labor. He had his first revival meeting at his home church, and was seeing 60 conversions. Saw 60 conversions in a single week, which, okay, cool.
It's just making me think of that book, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, in terms of like, this is the first step in a long line of like, what the fuck were you thinking that leads someone to form a very conservative racist college, you know, like. And then here we are in 2023. It's like, this is what you do.
I don't know if it's if you give a mouse a cookie or if it's like, if you like, it's like the butterfly wing, you know, like the butterfly effect, where it's like 12-year-old superintendent. What could go wrong? A whole ass racist university.
Yeah, true. Know. Like, but that's just one iteration. Yeah,
spawning the political careers of many a fundamental Christian right wing white supremacists. So
I just think in terms of building a young white religious boy's ego, this is where you start.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
like,
gotcha.
Like 12 years old, you're making them the superintendent. Like you said, whether it's just like a little title and it's cute or not, it's interpreted as I'm the superintendent, bitch. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and it just gets worse from there. So it's that's where it's, if you give a mouse a cookie to me.
I got you. Makes sense. Yeah. So at the age of 13, he had already built a brush arbor shelter and organized his own congregation of 54 members. Who the fuck is going to child church? Okay, like what the fuck is happening here?
These were not his stuffies. These were actual literal human adults.
His stuffies.
I was like, is he doing like tea parties with his like G.I. Joes out in the woods? That's cute. No, these were human adults. And I don't I just can't comprehend that 54 grown ass people walked into the woods with this boy who was like, I'm going to give you a sermon. And then they're like,
and then I'm going to baptize you.
Yeah. I'm going to come out here. I'll baptize you. And they believed him and listened to him. And then they go all the way out there and they're in the sweltering southern heat getting eaten by mosquitoes. Stupid.
Hey, man. To each their own.
Something's
wrong.
It's a
free country.
But something in this situation's wrong.
It's wrong. It's very strange.
Like, where are the adults? The ones with the fully formed brains.
Yeah, and the brush arbor is just like in reference to like a tent, basically.
It's like
tent revival, like church.
It's like a lean-to. It's like not a whole building.
Yeah.
So it's open. It's al fresco. It's church al fresco. Yeah.
Yeah, we love it. It's a little pop-up church.
Yeah.
By age 15. Jones was a licensed circuit preacher for the Alabama Methodist Conference.
No.
15 years old, just out here working, okay? What were you doing at 15? I was working, but you know.
Yeah. I was working, but I was still very much a child. And nobody was listening to me because I was a dumb fucking idiot.
Yeah, I was an absolute moron giving away free food to the hot guys that worked at the ski dock, okay?
Yeah. Like,
come on.
If we would have had phones when we were 15 and had jobs, I would not be helping anyone. And I would have totally missed that Jennifer Love Hewitt came into my store and got an ice cream cone from me because I wouldn't have been paying attention.
No. Who could?
Yeah.
Who amongst us? So by the 1920s, Jones was one of the best known evangelistas. Jesus.
Evangelistas
in the United States. By the time he was 40, it's estimated that Jones had preached to more than 15 million people face to face.
That's a whole epidemic.
Yeah.
That is we need to get the CDC involved.
Just spreading the word of the Lord.
It's something spreading.
So throughout the 1920s, though, Jones grew increasingly concerned with the secularization of higher education. Remember, like the 1920s, it was like a wild time. It was like everybody was like boho, and it was people were partying, and it was still prohibition, but people were out here drinking. So there was like all this like backlash, this like very conservative backlash to these like kind of, you know, more like bohemian vibes, I guess. So kind of like now. Isn't that interesting? So he like was noticing that children of church members were, I mean, this is like everybody in like the conservative world back then. People were noticing that children of church members were going to college and then like, you know, learning things about the world, and then they'd come home with a head full of facts and they'd start questioning the faith of their parents.
Oop.
Yeah. That's what happens.
That's what happens. Yeah, that's what happened. I mean, it's so funny because it just really highlights that people still think this way. It's like, don't, and we'll get into this, but it's like, do not let your children be exposed to like literally anything.
It's the woke mind virus, as the conservatives are calling it now. This is literally all the same shit recycled over and over again. And we're dealing with it now with all these people who are so vehemently against people learning about a perceived attack on, traditional values in schools. Which is just like, obviously, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like the attack on critical race theory, which is like not even a thing. People can't even define it. And so it's just like, it's all a recycled argument. This is where it started back in the 1920s when this evangelical movement was going across the country. And, you had all these tent revivals, and then the radio became big. And this is how all these people started preaching on the radio. And so it became like viral in its time of this idea that if you are religious in any way, like sending your kids to college was a risk because they were going to come back and possibly, and they were going to, they were going to have like expanded ideas about the world and not, necessarily be as easily controlled by religion. Yeah. So, Bob Jones later recalled that in 1924, after a conversation with his friend William Jennings Bryan, who is like a really famous politician back in the day, they were at a Bible conference, and William Jennings Bryan like leans over to Bob Jones and is like, hey, if schools and colleges don't quit, like this is the quote, if schools and colleges do not quit teaching evolution as a fact, we're going to become a nation of atheists. Inshallah. Okay. Like, God willing. Yeah. But after, Jones heard his friend say this, he was like struck by he was like terrified. He's like, oh my God. Yeah. Atheist is like the worst thing people could be. And, he didn't have a very good imagination, but,
yeah.
But his solution in his mind, it just like hit him like divine inspiration. He was like, I should just start my own college where we could teach Bible stuff and just like flat out reject evolution and also Black people and also Catholics at the college. So that was his whole entire idea, basically.
Totally.
He's like, I'm going to start a whole college so that he could kind of counter this. He could have a conservative Christian traditional values, response to secularism in school.
If that hotbed of hate ain't popping, you got to make your own. You know what I mean? It's
That's
like,
right.
We got to start somewhere.
Yeah. So he started this whole ass college in 1927 in Florida, of fucking course.
Oh, yes.
As Florida is wont to do.
Oh, God.
Just to own the libs, I guess. Ron DeSantis could never.
Oh, my God.
And after weathering extreme financial uncertainty through the Great Depression of the 1930s, Anna moved to Tennessee because of those financial woes. BJU emerged as the largest liberal arts college in Tennessee.
Whoa.
And then with the enactment of the GI Bill at the end of World War II, the need for campus expansion to accommodate increased enrollment led to a relocation to South Carolina. So
it's wild that like we just don't live in a time when schools move.
Yeah, it's more like NFL. It's like it would be like an NFL team moving, Like,
it's like now we got to go to Las Vegas because we just don't have enough space here or fans.
Yeah.
Which might be happening to them soon, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. So now if you've picked up any of these little details, like the combination of the Jim Crow South, evangelicalism, and being the son of a Confederate soldier, if you like looked at any of those details and thought, this man is probably going to be a fan of the KKK, you're 100% correct. He definitely was. This man loved the Klan, and the Klan loved him. He supported members of the Klan, notably his friend Alabama Governor Bibb Graves, for political office.
Bibb.
What a name.
Oh, it's just not a name. You know what I mean?
It's not.
Like how like his mother.
How are you going to be named
him.
after lettuce? Okay.
Yeah, or like the woman was so exhausted when she was probably forced to have him. She looked around the room. They're like, "What are you going to name him?" She's like, "Fucking, I don't know." And then she sees like all the laundry from her other 12 kids, and she goes, "Bib."
Or she was just like saying babe, and then somebody thought she said bib. This is my baby. Bib.
This is my baby. Baby.
Oh my
she goes,
God.
"Oh, look at this little bib.
Bib.
Bib."
Hello,
Oh
bib.
my God.
Fucking Bib. Bib was like a fucking high. He was like a high up in the Ku Klux Klan too. He was like,
of course he was.
Yeah, like, and Bob Jones, they were buddies. He supported his political career, and Bib was like, "You're my best friend," and yeah, and even though Jones rejected lawlessness and lynching, supposedly, like he just like kind of ignored it, probably.
He wasn't like actively pursuing
it. Didn't affect him. He didn't care. Yeah, he was
like,
"Oh, don't do that," and but he didn't care. But he did sympathize with the Klan's professed endorsement of religious orthodoxy, prohibition, and opposition to the teaching of evolutionist fact. It's just like how people say they're like nowadays say they're conservatives, but only for like they're fiscally conservative,
right, yeah.
But socially they're like
liberal.
They're liberal, it's
right?
Like you can't have both.
Yeah,
you can't have both.
No,
so
yeah, that's so irritating.
Yeah, so this guy was like, he was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. He was very mealy mouth about the Ku Klux Klan. He didn't give a shit though, because he was in the South and he was a white guy. Racial segregation was like not an issue for white people in 1920s Alabama, because both supporters and a majority, like supporters of the Ku Klux Klan and opponents of the Ku Klux Klan, were still like, even if you didn't like the Ku Klux Klan,
right?
Even if
you were
thought
still
they
like
were terrorists,
segregation's fine.
Yeah, you were still like, just it's just segregation. It didn't register that they were hand in hand.
It didn't register that maybe the idea of segregation is a stepping stone to like all the vitriol that the KKK is like building.
It's a public policy.
Yeah.
It's a public facing like value of the Ku Klux Klan. So
it's it's wild.
Yeah. So Jones actually remained a segregationist into the era of the civil rights movement. He was like in his 70s, still fucking, stomping around for segregation.
Separate but equal.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a few references to race, and there's barely any references to race in his sermons and chapel messages until the late 1950s. But in a 1960s radio address, Jones declared that God had been the author of segregation, and that opposition to segregation was opposition to God.
Oh my God. He didn't have to be vocal about it until the 70s, because nobody else was being vocal about it. So like, you didn't have to be like pro segregation up until that point, because everybody was just existing in that manner. Like then when all the pushback starts from the civil rights movement, then that's when of course you would start talking about it, because you have to pick a side. So it's like, that's so ridiculous.
Well, he picked the side of segregation. And
of course, of white supremacy.
White supremacy.
His best friends in the KKK, Bib.
Yeah, Bib. God.
Fucking Bib, man. I hate that guy.
I fucking hate that guy. Well, so the biggest example of this man's racist...
The biggest example?
The bibbest. Just the bibbest. The biggest example. The most like fundamental, like elemental example of this man's racist value system is one of Bob Jones University's most fucked up policies. So although BJU had allegedly admitted Asian students and other ethnic groups from its inception, it did not allow for the enrollment of African or African American students until 1971. Okay, that's 12 years before we were born.
Dude.
Like, right?
Dude. Yeah. This is unrelated, but I was contextualizing the other day and I had like kind of this type of like brain thing where 13 years before we were born was Woodstock.
Yeah.
13 years.
I know. That's not like...
It's not a long time.
No, I know.
And when you think about when my dad was born in the 40s. Like, everything was very much still segregated. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like, deeply. That's wild to me.
And we are like still dealing with all of that.
Oh, yeah.
In today's society, like trying to like unlearn all of these things that have been like very much a part of American society up until like a literal decade before we were born. So,
dude, I mean, even fucked. Now we have so many things that like we're finally starting to realize, like, oh, well, it's because
all those people that were used to that fucking shit are still alive and in positions of power, and now our generation is starting to become.
Well, our generation's now having to look at stuff and question it. Like, hang on, like, this seems innocuous, but like, is it? Because if everybody that was planning this was really fucked up and racist, then this also might be racist.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's wild, but the 70s. It's
truly wild. So it's literally like 1971 is when they started admitting black people. And he did not live to see the full integration of his own university. The integration of a neighboring Furman University in 1965, and then 6 years later, Bob Jones University had like integrated. So good riddance to that guy.
Yeah.
But from 1971 to 1975, it wasn't that they just like let any black person come to the school.
Yeah.
The only married black people could enroll at BJU.
And what's the fucking subtext of that?
I'll give you a hint.
Yeah.
It's very racist.
Yeah. It's we don't want our white children mingling with your black children in any sort of dating way. I mean, we're not even going to say sexual way because that's not on the table for these kids at this school.
They couldn't even. Yeah.
But it's like, but
that's the subtext though. That is the subtext.
It's
like
wild.
They did not want interracial, not even socializing,
right?
Like dating, nothing.
Yeah.
They could not even come close to it. But then. But then the IRS was like, excuse me.
The IRS.
The IR motherfucking S, the Internal Revenue Service. They were like, in 1970, they said there was the law was, quote, private schools with racially discriminatory admission policies were not entitled to federal tax exemption. So in 1975, the University Board of Trustees authorized a policy change to admit black students. And then that move occurred shortly before the announcement of the Supreme Court decision in Runyon versus McCrary, which prohibited racial exclusion in private schools. However, in May of that year, BJU expanded rules against interracial dating and marriage. So that's very fucking discriminatory. If it's in their fucking policy of in like their school rules.
Yeah. So code of conduct or whatever.
Yeah. So in 1976, the IRS was like, no, bitch. I don't think so. Y'all are fucking racist. And they revoked the university's tax exemption retroactively to December 1st, 1970, because it practiced racial discrimination the entire fucking time. It said that they were like changing or whatever. And this case was eventually heard by the U.S. Supreme Court in 1982. BJU lost the decision in Bob Jones University versus the United States, and the university chose to maintain its interracial dating policy and pay $1 million in back taxes.
Ew.
Yeah. They were like, we'd rather
pay $1 million. Oh my God.
They would rather fucking pay a huge chunk of money to the IRS than to change the fucking policy about interracial dating. They were like, no, we really still do not want black people to date white people, like, period.
Oh my God. This also says that they were like, $1 million easy. We're going to go to our alumni whose children all go here now and who fucking upheld this shit while they were students here. And we'll just ask them for the money, which is what I'm sure they did.
They did, yeah.
I do find it delightful that it was retroactive. Yeah. I think that is the IRS is like, P.S. You've been pulling this horse shit for however many years now. Where you got to pay for it all.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah. The only time I'll say, fuck yeah, IRS.
Yeah, the only time I'm like, yeah, IRS.
Yeah. But that was 1982. So the year before we were born, these motherfuckers were still like fighting, clawing to the notion of like keeping like interracial dating out of their school.
Yo, dude.
Like, truly wild.
Fucking IRS should be going after all these schools today for all the anti like LGBTQIA plus slander.
Yes.
And fucking holding them accountable for those back taxes. Yeah, they will.
They will eventually. I hope it's the same fucking situation.
Because this shit set a precedent. A good one.
Yeah. Yeah. So the year following the court decision, contributions to the university declined by 13%. We love to see it. Yeah. It wasn't until the year 2000, year of our Lord, 2000, following a media uproar prompted by the visit of presidential candidate George W. Bush to the university. There was like a whole thing, like it was like a big, like, weird thing about Catholics and stuff. Bob Jones III, he was like the head of the school then. He dropped the university's interracial dating rule, announcing the change on CNN's Larry King Live. Fucking the year 2000.
That's
when they stopped.
Only because there was such a hullabaloo from W's visit.
Yeah, because they did like a little like, it was like they didn't like Streisand affect themselves, but they did kind of like, they drew attention to themselves by like being this like bastion of conservativalism, where it started to become like popular for conservative politicians to make this like a stop on their, like if they're running for office or whatever, like this is like what you do. You go to Bob Jones University, you do a speech, you like talk to the student body. And so when W went there, it like perked up interest in the school, and all these journalists were like, wait a second, y'all still have that interracial dating policy in effect where you don't let black people date white people? Oh. And they were like, oh, what? Oh, wait, what? Oh, what? Oh, that's so weird. We didn't notice that.
Oh my God.
So then they changed it. So the year 2000, though, we were in high school. I had already given several Bob Joneses.
BJUs.
AKA BJs by the year 2000, okay? Like,
I hadn't given a BJ.
It's prime time, baby, for me.
Oh, yeah. Not me. But I was getting closer.
Yeah. Well, in the same year, Bob Jones III drew criticism after reposting a letter on the university's webpage referring to Mormons and Catholics as being members of, quote, cults, which call themselves Christian.
Well, that's not true.
But it's also just like pot calling the kettle.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like, what?
You're delusional. You're so delusional.
All of this is to say, though, this school is absolutely founded on white Christian nationalist values and therefore has some of the most fucked up policies, and their code of conduct is giving Handmaid's Tale. At the very, like, just the very, very fucking tip of the iceberg is like, it's all fucked. Like, this whole school is just, I think there has like, it's like walled in even, so that it's like,
oh no,
it's like very,
well,
like
we
you're
have to
on
talk
a commune or something.
Yeah. The rules are very stringent. Like, it's not, mostly when kids get to college, they're like, oh, I have freedom. Like, I can just like go to dinner when I want, or go to the movies, or like, you know, you have your own like schedule and freedoms that you get to have. Not here.
No.
It's very much you are being babysat, and you're not treated like an adult with your own thoughts or choices.
This is like, I feel like a lot of people who come from very religious families are kind of like funneled into this school, because it doesn't just start, it like Bob Jones University, like they have like K through 12 kind of like textbooks and stuff that they sell. And so people who like, you know, homeschool their kids, or have like,
there's a lot of
private
homeschooled,
or like private Christian schools that follow the curriculum, or like use these textbooks. It's like, it's a whole fucking pipeline to this school, basically.
Totally.
So you just like work your way up, and you're just you're fed this extreme right wing, super Christian propaganda.
You're not going here out of the blue.
No.
And that's the thing. A lot, we'll talk a little bit about numbers in a bit, but like, a lot of the kids that go here are homeschooled, and they're in the pipeline to go to this college. Like, you're not just discovering this college in, you know, Southern California as a regular kid. Like, you're not like, oh, I might go to Bob Jones University. It's like, I don't think so. You'd hate it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, well, let's talk about the handbook a little bit. The student handbook, the code of conduct, it's pretty wild. It's basically like, these are their like laws that they abide by. Yeah. And it applies to so many things, and they're very specific, and we're just going to like talk high level about some of them, but you can read their handbook. It's on their website. I got some of this.
I read it too.
Yeah, from their 2022-2023 like school year. And this is like their media and entertainment, like very top level kind of statement. Students are to avoid any types of entertainment that could be considered immodest or that contain profanity, scatological realism, sexual perversion, erotic realism, lurid violence, occultism, and false philosophical or religious assumptions. So this podcast is propaganda. If you're seen with it, it's contraband. You will absolutely be penalized. I read scatological. I went, oh, I'm out. Well, profanity, first of all, it's this one. But, you know, like, it just also, this is what is so gross and culty and just so upsetting to me about language like this. Like, none of this stuff is easily definable.
No.
I mean, I guess profanity kind of is. Like, if you say fuck, shit, cunt, asshole, whatever, but like, what are other profane things? Like flipping someone off, showing your naked butt to someone, like having a sticker with, you know, a poop on it. Like, is that profane? You know, so it's just like, that's meant to like punish these kids and stuff.
Yeah.
There's also a really big appendix in the back. I like scrolled down to the very fucking end, and this is also more about the types of media to avoid. And this is also like, this is what it's called, the appendix. It's like section C or whatever. Biblical approach to evaluating objectionable elements in entertainment. A Christian's entertainment choices should reflect Christ and encourage him or her to be more like Christ. While it can be beneficial to be culturally literate, every Christian should self-censor his or her entertainment choices. Below are common categories of elements that are biblically objectionable and should be censored. Profanity. Scatological realism pertaining to excretory functions. Sexual perversion, adultery, fornication, homosexuality is a no-no there, but it's kind of buried in the back. Erotic realism, explicit descriptions of sexual acts, lurid violence, occultism, false philosophical or religious assumptions, the most dangerous yet the most overlooked of all objectionable elements.
I like other ideas that are not like what? What the fuck?
Isn't that weird?
Mm-hmm. It's
False
creepy, man.
Philosophical or religious assumptions. That could be anything. Like truly anything. Which also
it could be anything that they say is like against their whatever.
Their religious
interpretation.
Beliefs.
Their interpretation of the Bible.
Right, exactly. Which is also very specific, which we'll also get to. But I also just wanted to call this out. I won't read it all, but there's also like a byline of all these things as they pertain to read materials, like text materials and books and video games and stuff. But they specifically called out Esquire, GQ, People, Entertainment, Yahoo Magazine, Men's Fitness, and ESPN Magazine as examples of like things you can't read.
What the fuck? ESPN Magazine?
Because they have an ungodly philosophy or pervasive sensuality.
Where?
I don't know. It's like a naked, muscular arm. It probably is also racist in some way or another. Like,
yeah.
But,
oh my God.
And it's also like People Magazine, really? Like,
because it's gossip.
Or it's like kind of gossip. People's like the top tier. Like it can be gossipy, but like also it's like I feel like it's more news. Like it's more celebrity news.
Well, it's like secular, like kind of. Yeah. It is like I don't know. It's just like I don't know.
But I also think because People Magazine has their pulse on, pop culture, it's also moving forward in a lot of ways. And that has probably helped move things forward in a lot of ways. Like when Will and Grace was on TV, like they're talking about Will and Grace. Yeah. And like,
it's like whatever is in the like mainstream, secular, like celebrity kind of world. And that's like evil to them. Yeah. I get it.
It's like a reflection of what's going on in the world.
It doesn't make sense, but it does make sense. I get, if you're a real fucking nerd, I get it. Yeah. Grounds for immediate dismissal include stealing, immorality, including sexual relations between unmarried students, possession of hardcore pornography, use of alcohol or drugs, and participating in a public demonstration for a cause the university opposes. This is literally everything you do at college. Like, it is like the foundation. You fuck, you drink, you do drugs,
you protest.
You protest. Like this is like the college experience, and they're like totally neutering in any kind of like experience of that.
Gotta keep you brainwashed.
Yeah.
Also, imagine a school being like so interested in like your sexual comings and goings, emphasis on comings. Yeah. Also, is masturbating included in like I just like why are they thinking
it might not
so
be
much
but they're
this?
Definitely making you feel guilty about it.
Yeah And honestly, there's probably like signs in the women's and men's like restrooms and stuff about how like touching yourself is indecent, and like there's probably like paraphernalia everywhere that's not it's like
there's like a crucifix in every stall so that you like feel guilty about even thinking about touching your clitoris.
Yeah. And they probably round up all the RAs like in the beginning of the school year, and they're like, we're going to need weekly cute reminders not to touch yourself in your halls and on your floors.
Oh my God, dude. Like nobody's bringing their fucking dildos to college. at this place.
No.
Or you are, and if you do, Godspeed.
Yeah, honestly, if there's a place you need it, it's probably here.
Yeah, no shit. Male students used to be required to wear slacks, dress shirts, and ties on campus during the day, but this requirement has since been loosened, and men are allowed to wear polo shirts or dress shirts on weekdays until 5 p.m. And are no longer required to wear ties. And then effective in 2018, women are no longer required to wear skirts or dresses and can now wear pants.
2018.
Did you hear that? 2018 was when they let women start wearing fucking pants on campus. Jesus Christ. Jesus fucking Christ.
Oh my God. I want to add to that. I have some like notes down below about the women's dress code, like the whole thing. Oh, yeah. But it's not even. It's like 3 pages long. But I just want to call out one more thing out of like these many things, which are insane. Hair should be neat and professional in presentation, a natural color, and a distinctly feminine style.
The fuck does that mean?
What's distinctly feminine? It's so long. Yeah, long.
Horse girl hair.
It's crunchy.
No,
Michelle
no
Duggar,
offense to horse
bangs.
Girls that are cool, but like yeah. A Duggar hairstyle.
Duggar hair, yeah. That's what it's like. Very like if you can't put it in the George Washington like bump.
The George Washington bump.
If you can't put it in the George Washington bump with like the low Johnny Tremaine ponytail.
What are we talking about here? Come on.
You know the hair I'm talking about.
I do.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I do.
It's the Elaine Bennis.
Yeah.
But today.
But I'm also thinking like they want women to like do their hair in hot rollers and like
for sure,
you know, go to the salon and shit and like wear fucking like they want all these women to be. I feel like if there's women that go to this university, it's like they are simply there to find a husband. Like that is that is what this college wants for these women. Or if you're the parent of one of the women who are going here, that's the only way you'd let your daughter go to college is if she went to Bob Jones University. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I agree. Like, I know what you're saying.
Like they just otherwise no school for you because
that's a big thing because I think there's a end of sophomore year engagement like bump because you can not date other people on campus. That's a rule unless you're a junior or a senior and you're engaged to be married and your wedding is 1 year from like there's like all these weird rules that it's like who's keeping track of this even.
It's so fucking creepy, dude.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine being monitored this hardcore. It's really scary. It's really gnarly. What else? Okay. Students are also required to attend chapel 4 days a week, as well as at least 2 services per week at an approved, quote, local fundamental church. On and off campus, there's to be no physical contact between unmarried men and women, like you're saying. Side hugs are permitted for photographs, though.
What are people just walking around with like a dead camera on a selfie stick to like grope each other too? It's like, what are the fun creative ways the like quote unquote bad kids are getting away with stuff there, you know? It's also, this is like so long, but there's like a whole policy on purity that's like 3 parts and so uncomfortable. And
and it references tons of like Bible passages, like specific parts of the Bible.
Yeah.
Like it's and
creepy. It has the purity kind of policy also once again calls out like, sex should only be in a marriage and it can only exist in a marriage between a man and a woman, blah, blah, blah. It's like all that
one
shit.
man and one woman, yeah.
Yeah. And then they don't even really allow off-campus events. So like as far as concerts and shows, which again, that's a big part of college age time period. Like that's like a fun thing college kids do. Before purchasing tickets, students should check with the School of Fine Arts and Communication office to ensure the event is approved. So first of all, they got to get approval to go see whatever Gordon Lightfoot. Like, who are you even gonna be allowed to see? Like
Michael Bublé?
Yeah, no,
not
sexual.
Michael Bublé. Too sexual.
He'll horn up all the homeschoolers. Restaurants, students are not to patronize bars, taverns, or dance clubs, and should practice discernment in the restaurants they frequent. Shopping,
like you can't just go to any restaurant.
No, especially if there's a bar. If it could be a bar or a tavern.
Oh my god!
What do you? So no Applebee's, no Club Applebee's. It's so wild. Shopping, students are not to patronize businesses that specialize in adult gifts and party items. I mean, obviously, but it's in there.
No lotions and lace and no Spencer's for you. No Hot Topic. Oh my god.
And yeah, they also monitor the students' internet usage. They use a content filtering system and they restrict access to biblically offensive materials. VPNs, mobile hotspots, or other means to bypass the filters are prohibited. Any attempt to bypass the filters is a serious offense.
How horrible, dude.
Wild.
Okay, so you had talked about how the women's dress code is extremely fucking strict. Like there's
it's just like strict and very specific. Like
very specific.
It's strict, not in the way where like maybe a public school today would be strict about like no spaghetti straps, which is still shitty, but like this is like people couldn't wear pants till 2018. Like that's how fucking dumb it is.
Yeah. And it's all just very like old fashioned and like impractical.
Yeah.
But speaking of demeaning women, despite all of their fucking very specific weird dress code policies, there's still sexual assault on campus. Okay?
Oh my god. What?
Of course.
But no, because they're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Like how so it doesn't exist if you say it can't happen. Oh god.
Yeah,
It's so course.
gross.
It's probably rampant there.
Well, as in December of 2011, in response to accusations of the mishandling of student reports of sexual abuse, a lot of which had occurred in their home churches when the students were minors, and a concurrent reporting issue at a church pastored by a university board member, the BJU Board of Trustees hired an independent ombudsman, GRACE, which stands for Godly Response to Abuse in the Christian Environment.
No. You don't need a fucking cute acronym for your assault party.
Oh my God, it's so creepy. To investigate. So, released in 2014, the GRACE report suggested that BJU had discouraged students from reporting past sexual abuse, and though the university declined to implement many of the report's recommendations, President Pettit formally apologized and said, quote, "To those who felt they did not receive from us genuine love, compassion, understanding, and support after suffering sexual abuse or assault, apology, blah, 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 bullshit.
You know, he just wanted to say, that doesn't happen here.
Like, literally, they just, like, they did this whole fucking, like investigation, and then they just ignored all the findings and suggestions of like how they could like respond to it. So there's like, I think now there's like lawsuits against them. There's like all kinds of shit happening because they just like refuse to acknowledge that this is even a thing.
Yeah.
And that like, and just purely do like 100,000% do not give a fuck about the women or people who have been assaulted. So
it's so interesting how like we still haven't agreed as a society on the fact that if you can't acknowledge a problem, you will never solve it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you have to first acknowledge the problem.
Yeah.
And to not do that is like, okay, well then I guess you're just fine with it.
Yeah, if you don't acknowledge it, you just hope that everybody forgets about it. And that's
right.
like,
and they won't forget. It's just going to keep happening.
Mm-hmm. So that's just the I bet there's all kinds of shit and people just do not report because they know that nothing's going to happen.
Of course.
So horrible, so upsetting, so discouraging. And so the toxicity that is all in this is horrendous. Yeah. And then you had mentioned before, and it really does go without saying, that this place does not tolerate gay people at all.
Yeah.
Bob Jones III, president of the university from 1971 to 2005, and I think he's the current chancellor, but he might have since been, there's all kinds of upheaval happening there right now.
Yeah.
Said in 1980 that homosexual people should be stoned as the Bible commands. He issued an apology for this in 2015, but whatever. I guarantee that he still believes this shit. Like they hired a PR team and they were like, oh, you want to go ahead and issue an apology for this fucking shit you said?
Yeah. I disavow those comments, but our school is exactly the same still. So
yeah, but like 15 years ago, we finally let Black people and white people start dating. So
yeah. So 15 years from now, we'll let gay people in.
Yeah. Oh, God. Graduates were told in letters 20 years ago that they could be arrested if they set foot on the fence campus grounds, according to reporting by the Washington Post. An openly LGBTQ student today would be in violation of the university's policies and could be dismissed from the school before the end of a semester, potentially losing any credits if they were already enrolled.
Right.
And then when asked if students were allowed to be openly gay and remain on campus, Randy Page, chief of staff to the university president, pointed to the official policy. So it's a hard no.
Yeah. Yeah. Jesus.
Bob Jones University's official policy on sexuality does not use the words gay, homosexual, or LGBT. The closest it gets to is this statement. The Bible, quote, the Bible specifically names as sinful and prohibits any form of sexual activity between persons of the same sex, polygamy, incest, bestiality, adultery, and fornication of any sort, including pornography. And then the policy also states that gender is assigned at birth, and any attempt to change that is an affront to God.
Of course it does.
Yeah. These people hate gay people. They hate trans people. They will never, it's fucking garbage.
Truly anyone, quote unquote, other as it stands to a white man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like they're maybe okay with you if you're a white woman. And you are going to marry a white man and you're his property.
Upholding the patriarchy and white supremacy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, my God. Well, I feel like, okay, this is all obviously like so heavy and it just, like you said, I searched like some of these keywords in the code of conduct and like homosexual, whatever, like gay. And that stuff doesn't come up because it is just really reiterating like a couple is a man and woman, a married man and woman, blah, blah, blah. And it's like they don't need to say anything else because one, that's not allowed here. And two, they're like not even recognizing it, which is wild. Okay. But then I wanted to find out some very basics about the school. Like, okay, enrollment is less than 3,000 people a year. That for all 4 grades. That's no people. 3,000?
It's like a high school.
That's like a high school. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like a large high school.
Yeah.
But like, okay. As of 2021, they only had 2,700 students enrolled. The cost per year as of the 2021 fall semester is $33,000 a year. $33,000 for this garbage fucking education. And I use the term education loosely.
They teach like creationism there. Yeah. Like they hate evolution, so they're teaching like biblical like
you're not learning anything actually real. With financial aid, it's still roughly $17,000, which is still a $17,000 too much. You just read the Bible. Like, what new information are you getting at this college?
Well, okay, people do go to school to like get like to become, like clergy members or whatever.
Yeah, but like, do you have to pay for those? I feel like that you're doing like
I feel like your
service.
Church should be paying for it. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, and this is a private school. It's a for-profit school. So like maybe those types of schools exist, but they're not for profit. It's like it's like the Catholic, if you're going to be a priest or a nun, the Catholic Church like pays your way or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't care. 34% of students were homeschooled before they came to BJU. That's incredibly high. We already mentioned this, but it's quote unquote a Christian liberal arts institution, which we all know they want to change. The top 10 fields of study are accounting. Oh, these are in order of the alphabet. So I don't know what's the most
alphabetical
popular.
order.
Yeah, these are. That's right.
I'm sorry. That was mean.
No, it was accurate. Okay, I honestly wasn't sure what order they were in and was just realizing it. And my brain was like catching up. Okay, the top 10 fields of study are accounting, biblical counseling. I have a feeling that's actually number one. Okay, sorry, let's start again. Accounting, biblical counseling, biology, business administration.
Wait, hold on. A biology and you're not teaching evolution? I'm going to question that fucking...
Where do you go from here? Like, you go to apply to medical school and you're like, there's only two parts. One's a vagina, one's a penis. There's nothing in between. What's intersex? Or whatever. It's like, what's, like... I can't. Okay, criminal justice, which also is a big question mark for me. Cause are we educating the defenders of the Ku Klux Klan? Like what sort of justice is anyone learning at this school? Okay. Engineering, kinesiology, nursing, pre-med, sport management. I think it should be sports management, but that's what they wrote. Sport management.
I think it's a lot of chiropractors are coming out here. Oh my God.
Yeah, I just don't know. Okay, there's a couple famous alums.
Asa Hutchinson, he was the governor of Arkansas, and he also served in the U.S. Congress.
Yeah.
And most recently was considering jumping into the 2024 Republican primary, but he was like, no, fuck that shit.
Oh.
Yeah. Tim Hutchinson is Asa's brother. He also served in the U.S. Senate. And then famous-ish people who attended but didn't graduate. Billy Graham, he was, very famous evangelist.
Very famous. Yeah.
But he only attended one semester. Katherine Hellman, who played Mona on Who's the Boss, and Jessica Tate on the sitcom Soap.
Oh my God.
She's kind of fucking iconic.
We have the same birthday also, July 5th.
Really?
Yeah, like those like things you get.
Yeah,
it always had her on it.
That's so funny. She also was like a guest star on True Blood at some point, which is really fucking cool.
Yeah. Is she dead?
Yeah, she died in 2019, I think.
Yeah.
2021.
It's my birthday now, bitch.
Yep. Oh my God. If we weren't going to hell before, we're going to hell after this episode for sure.
Yeah.
Fred Phelps, he was like the pastor of Westboro Baptist Church.
Yeah.
He like coined God hates.
Yeah, the F slur.
F slur.
Yeah.
He made that website, and like he was all about the public protests, like outside of funerals for veterans and shit.
Yeah.
These fucking people. His association with the school ended abruptly after 3 semesters. He probably sucked ass at school because he's a fucking idiot. Yeah, those are like the most famous, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I found some, but it was from ChatGPT, and apparently they were wrong. So
don't trust ChatGPT.
You can't trust. That's why you just use ChatGPT for like a thread to follow, and then you go research it on Wikipedia, which could also be inaccurate, but we've all accepted it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Well, I can't talk about this place anymore. It sounds like my literal fucking nightmare. Like I cannot imagine being like in a like it sounds like prison.
Yeah.
Like it's prison, right?
It is prison.
Like it's like religious prison. Ugh.
Except it's worse because in prison people still fuck each other. Like it's like you're like, although maybe there's less fighting at this college. It's just, it just is so, it just really destroys me that there are young impressionable minds like enrolled in places like this, especially young women. It just is so heartbreaking that like this is their path, and then they're being like indoctrinated to oppose the rest of us and what we think is fair in terms of autonomy, bodily autonomy and stuff. And I was gonna wear my fucking abortion shirt, but I got makeup on it. I was so pissed. But it just sucks. It's just like this is what white supremacy and the patriarchy does, is like it just continues to pit us against anybody it can.
Well, anyway, that's Bob Jones, BJ University.
Yeah. Oh my God.
We hate it. Follow us on social media. It's DTFU podcast. All the places.
Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/DTFU podcast, and come join our Discord.
Yes. Oh my God. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Stay excellent to yourselves
and each other.
Bye.
Bye.